Spoiler alert, the final product looks like this, so stick around to see how I build it. What's going on, guys? My name is Chris, and in this video I want to show you how we can take the Sony A7 III from something like this and transform it into something like this. Now I'm going to walk you through how I built out my cinema rig, and I'm going to walk you through every part and just what it's useful for and make it easy for you. I'm going to leave everything down in the description below. Let's get into it. All right, so the first thing, why do I want to take my small and compact Sony and make it into this giant rig? Well, there's a few things that this rig solves. This rig is adding stability to your camera, it's increasing your battery life, and it's making you a whole lot more versatile. And there's also that element of impressing the client, but mainly this is for us. So the first step to any good rig is going to be the cage. Now, this is a cage from Small Rig for the Sony A7 III. And now you're asking, Chris, why do I need a cage? Well, a cage is going to allow us to attach all of the rest of our accessories to the camera and condense everything down into one unique package. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and install this cage. And side note, one thing you may want is one of these little toolkits. This is from Small Rig. I'll have it linked down there. It's just an awesome little toolkit because it has pretty much every little plate and screw and Allen key made into one little thing you can keep on you at all times. So first things first, we're gonna attach this cage. The cage has one screw down here at the bottom. Now, a couple of things about this cage. I've went ahead and pre-installed a few items. One of the first things I've pre-installed is this NATO rail for the actual handle. A NATO rail is Small Rig's basically quick release style. It keeps everything locked in place. I've added one here and one here. And I also have this amazing little HDMI clamp that keeps your HDMI cords from falling out. Basically, Sony has one of the worst micro HDMI ports because it constantly can break. It's very fragile. So to keep that from happening, this little clamp is a lifesaver. All right, you may notice a couple of other things that I've went ahead and installed on my cage. I have these Peak Design little clamps here that pretty much help me out and installing a strap with my cage. I believe that's what's gonna make mine stand out from the multiple I've seen on YouTube. I've kind of taken all of their parts and made it into the best setup that I can. And of course, it starts with a cage. So let's move on to the next item I wanna install for you. The next big item is gonna be this base plate. Now, this is pretty much acts as a riser and has two 15mm clamps made for rods. The rods are gonna be used to add batteries, accessories. You can add a follow focus onto it. You can use it for matte boxes. But let's get this thing installed. First, I'm just gonna undo this, pop this off. The great thing about this little base plate is it has two locking screws. That way your camera's not turning every way once you get this thing installed. So I'm gonna pop this on. All right, now that we have that installed, I'm gonna attach the base plate. This little base plate from Camvate is super, super neat. Locks right in place, pretty satisfying. Next up with that, I'm gonna install the actual 15mm rods into it. These are 15mm rods. They are used for clamping accessories outside of the camera cage. So things that usually don't clamp to the camera cage are gonna be held on by these. Now I have 8-inch ones. I also have a pack of 12 and 16. But for this small run and gun rig, all you're gonna need is the 8-inch rods. Let's get these installed. So basically, I just wanna drop these in, and for my particular style, I'm gonna push it all the way to the edge and clamp it in. Drop this one in. Let's go to the edge and clamp it in, and you can see what I mean here. They just sit on the actual back. Let's get these tight. And the great thing about this little base plate is you can actually adjust the height that you want your rods to sit at. So if I wanna push them up or down, I can. So the next thing I wanna install is one of my favorite pieces, and this is the top handle. Now this top handle already has a monitor mount attached to it. I just went ahead and sped the process up. But both of these are from Small Rig. This is the monitor mount, of course, this is the handle. And it uses what's called a NATO clamp. So basically, it just slides right on, tightens right up. Super easy. So now you have a handle to carry your cage. Everything's gonna be really sturdy, which is great because these are smaller cameras, but building them out helps them be a lot more weighted and makes your footage a lot more stable. Next thing I wanna grab is the side handle. This is something I added just to give me a little bit more stability when kind of driving my camera and helping me solidify those cinematic shots. So once again, this is what the second NATO rail is for. I'm just gonna slide this on, and now it is secure. All right, so another thing I wanna add is going to be this battery plate. This battery plate lets me attach a V-mount battery, which is going to power the actual camera, the monitor. If you wanted to add a follow focus to it, it can power all of that. You can power your cell phone if you wanted to. Let's attach this. This has two 15mm rod actual clamps. Just going to slide that on and tighten this down. The next thing I want to attach is the actual battery to the base plate. Now this battery is going to power pretty much everything for the camera. And the great thing about V-mount batteries is they just lock on. It's pretty satisfying, right? Next thing that I want to add is my monitor. The monitor we're gonna be using is the Small HD Focus. I love this monitor. It's tiny, it's compact, it gets the job done in every situation I need to, but it is cheaply made. So what I've done is I've added the small rig cage to it. This is just another cage, just like for your camera. You can attach a multitude of things to it, but it gives your monitor so much more protection. Now, that monitor mount we talked about earlier, this is just gonna screw onto it. Screws on, locks in place, and you can also adjust the angle. The great thing about the small rig components, they're all adjustable as far as like the tension goes. But now we're actually starting to look like something. Next up, a great accessory for the monitor that comes with this cage is this sunshade. It makes me feel a little more professional, I'm not gonna lie, but it helps me see in daylight. When it's super bright outside, this monitor is pretty bright, but this sunshade actually helps cancel out all of that. Let's get this strapped on. Okay, this rig is starting to look deadly. All right, I wanna add a lens. My lens of choice is the Tamron 28-75 2.8. This is a pretty beast lens. I've been using it for about a month now, and I'm really loving the results. I've used it for weddings, and it's been one of the only lenses I've started using for weddings. I usually shoot primes, but this is making me switch. All right, let's get a look at what's going on here. Now there's a couple more things you're gonna need. Me personally, I like to add a running gun mic. I use the Rode Video Mic Pro. Now, this just hooks right onto the actual handle. Has a cold shoe mount, slides right on, and just gives you a running gun mic in case you're not doing audio. All right, we got most of the stuff built out. Let's start hooking up our cables and power. First, I'm just gonna hook this microphone up. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is get power to the monitor and the camera. For the monitor, I'm gonna be using the Sony NPF to DTAP. DTAP is being provided by our big battery pack here, and it's pretty much like a universal power output for cameras. So, for my DTAP, it's gonna go right back here. And that's just gonna sit on the back of my monitor. Pretty much it's just a battery eliminator is what they're called. All right, next up is the dummy battery for the Sony A7 III. And this is just gonna plug right into the V-mount plate. Plugging it right here into this outlet, the one with the actual camera on it. You have to be careful with plugging it into battery plates. If you plug it into a high voltage one, it can fry your camera. Make sure you plug it into the one with the camera symbol if you're getting this plate, or please read the manual. The last addition is this Peak Design camera strap. This thing is so handy when you have an 8-hour wedding day and you don't want to be lugging your camera around, but you want to make sure you have it on you. You clamp this strap on and off. I love it, which is why I have these little red tabs here on my camera. It's something I haven't seen anybody really use for their camera rigs, but I have one here. And what I've done here is I've just attached another little base plate for one there. So you can just come here. So this now lets you have the actual rig around you without having to fully support it all the time. But that is pretty much it. This thing is a beast. It gets me through the entire day. This battery is a D&O 95 watt-hour battery. I've used it literally for an 8-hour wedding day shoot, and I still had 60% battery left. And that's pretty much it when it comes to building out my cinema rig for the A7 III. So far, it's been doing me great. I'm planning on upgrading soon, but that is another video for another time. If you learned something in this video, please drop a like. It helps me be in favor of the YouTube algorithm. And if you actually enjoyed the content, consider subscribing. I'm gonna be posting more content like this and answering any questions that you may have, and I don't know, make some more content that you might wanna see. Thanks for watching. I'm super proud of myself. I did this video in like 35 minutes. I am terrible when it comes to YouTube videos. What? What? Feel like I'm learning. Feel like there's growth happening between us, between me and my imaginary subscriber watching.